Well, India and Afghanistan kick off their Super 8 stage of the T20 World Cup, the men's version, of course, in Barbados. Now, Bharat Sudaresan, these are two interesting teams because I feel like we've learned quite a bit about Afghanistan throughout the group stages. We've just seen a lot of people have thought of them as, their bowling's so great and their batting has potential but not really hit its stride. But in this T20 World Cup, I feel like we have seen how good their batting is. A lot of their young players who are showing their potential. Who cares? They lost very convincingly to West Indies.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Dead rubber. Who cares? But I feel like that we've learned a lot about them. India, on the other hand, I kind of feel like their group stage has just happened and that we haven't really learned anything much. And it's sort of just starting now. Does that make sense to you?
Very much so, and I think they've come to the Caribbean finally. And no disrespect to the teams that they played or the matches. They beat Pakistan after all in a game that Pakistan should have never lost. But it almost feels like there were two legs to India's campaign at this World Cup, right? The promotional leg where, yes, they were playing some important World Cup matches in the US, but they were also spreading the sport, right? Like they were there. I mean, as well as the US have played, I think it was a lot about India going there and playing matches in New York, in Dallas, which never happened, like because of the rain. But I think that bit is over, and the pitches were really difficult. So they played 2 games or 3 games on some really difficult conditions where you could defend 119, or you were pushed by the USA when you were chasing 105 or 110 or whatever it was. So to come from there to the vagaries of the Caribbean, where Barbados, we still don't know what the pitches will be like. We saw a lot of turn in the first few games we covered there. Then they go to then they come here, don't they? And then they go to St. Lucia, where batting becomes easier. All morning matches, of course. So 10:30 a.m. matches like this one that we've just covered in Antigua. So I think you're right. I mean, Jadeja is yet to score a run, take a wicket, take a catch or get a run out. So and he's had a pretty decent tournament. So you're right. It'll feel like it's a new start for this Indian team, not just because they're in the Caribbean now, but where their batters will have to kind of register big scores, and where they might go back to playing the way they were in the IPL. There's so many new factors or facets of their game to look forward to, which we haven't seen so far.
You mentioned starting again, and that is a good point to remember too. Just when it comes to this stage, teams don't carry through points to the Super 8s, and I feel like that's quite key as well, because it really does feel like a fresh slate. What about for a team like Afghanistan? Do they have the capability of beating an India? Because for me, I felt like they've been my dark horses all the way through to make it to the semi-finals. I just feel like they've been so close in the last couple of tournaments. You look how they've played. We've talked before about when they played in Adelaide, and they almost beat Australia there. And they've almost beat them in the World Cup last year. It feels like they don't really have. Sorry, you're just having some fans.
No, that's all good.
It happens to him all the time.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't. It sort of feels like they've been almost there, but not quite. Do you think they've matured enough as a team that they can actually go the next step?
I certainly think they can. Because now they have a top order batter in Ramanullah Gurbaz, who's he failed the other night against the West Indies, but in a dead rubber game. But he's someone they found who can give them that electric start, which they've lacked. Right? They've always had the bowling. I mean, every team in this world will fear Afghanistan. And just listening to the Australians talk about the challenge of facing Afghanistan and St. Vincent, where the pitches have been turning. And you can see how much of a concern it is for them because of just how much variety Afghanistan have with the ball. But historically, it's been their batting. I still think they lack maybe a couple of big hitters in the middle. They still bank a lot on Najibullah Zadran, who's been around forever. I call him one of the original Beatles, or the original. I mean, there wasn't the original.
Which one?
Beatles.
Would it be Ringo? George?
I think he's clean shaven. I think he's got that Ringo about him.
And Ringo wasn't clean shaven.
It was
so much.
It?
Oh, right in the beginning. They were all clean shaven.
They were at the beginning. I'm more an early Beatles kind of guy.
Right.
I know you jumped on the
I
bandwagon
think he's more
a little
of a Paul
later.
McCartney.
Yeah, actually, Paul McCartney always stayed all right, fair enough. So the Paul McCartney they're still banking on him in the in the low order to get them those big finishes. But apart from that, look, when I when I was in St. Lucia 2 nights ago for West Indies Afghanistan, I almost thought this could be, and without sounding too ambitious, this could be a dress rehearsal for the final. It could well be a final. And I'm not ruling out Afghanistan yet just because they had that game. And even in that game, Mela, after they were blown away in the first 5 overs because of Nicholas Puran and Johnson Charles, they were able to drag things back. I thought they found Gulbadin Naib bowled really well. Their spinners obviously operated really well, Noor Ahmed in particular. And nobody will take them lightly. I don't think them winning is an upset. And especially with India, they played a lot of T20 cricket with India recently. They've come extremely close to winning and not won it, but I think they have it in them to go that one step further against an Indian team, like you said, who's still kind of finding their feet in this tournament.
Yeah, just sort of, it's weird. It's sort of like they've been there, but
yeah,
I don't know. They've been there. India have been there. They're still here.
They are still here.
And they're obviously a great chance to win this T20 World Cup, but we don't know. Maybe Afghanistan might just put a little spanner in the works. We'll find out, as will you.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.